Good morning. I'm so delighted to see so many old friends and of course new ones. On behalf of Hub University, we extend a very warm welcome to all of you, especially some members are from very cold climates. Now, today, this year, we are celebrating our 27th anniversary. And this is our 25th convocation. And this is the 16th annual strategy seminar. By coincidence, this is also our nomination day for the country. We are having our election. This year, we have about representations from 25 institutions and 12 countries. This is a big representation. As Jean mentioned, last year our theme was the innovative university, and today we are going to discuss the new ecology of education. Probably we should have reversed the two titles, looking at innovative university as a response to the new ecology. A few weeks ago, in a public seminar, we discussed the Asian century. Around 1750, Asia contributed about 52% to the global output of the world. By 1952, this dropped to 15%, 1-5. At the moment, Asia contributes about 27% of the total output. It is the aspiration of the Asian countries to, by 2050, to capture back 50% of the total output of the world. And if we succeed, it means that 3 billion people would enjoy the standards of living of the Western societies. There are about 600 million middle-income class here. At this moment, there are about 7 developed economies, 11 in the middle-income class or middle-income category, and about 31 that belong to the low-income category. If the 7 developed economies cannot sustain their growth, and if the 11 middle-income group of countries cannot migrate upwards, and if the 31 remain stagnant as they are, we are in serious trouble because there will be social economic destabilization. So when we look at all the critical enablers, we have to come back and say that education and innovation, they are still the key enablers. But the problem is the challenge. We do not have enough resources, we do not have enough talents to provide even the basic education to the masses in Asia. Since 1987, when we started, the landscape for education has changed tremendously. We were providing access to disadvantaged people to tertiary education. But now, the demand function and the supply function are very different. The people who demand a bundle of services is very different, or are very different from 30 years ago. And the people who provide education are not very sure what bundle of services we are going to provide. So there is an asymmetry between the demand and the supply. I look at the ecology in terms of the 5 C's plus 1 6 C's. One is do we really understand who, to use a business term, our customers? Who actually is our customer? Very often now we have the buzzword Generation Y, but at the same time, we have a demographic transition in Asia, where there's an aging population, and a large portion of the adult population needs to be reskilled and to be upgraded in the new technologies that are demanded in the workplace. So who actually constitutes our customer? I was surprised to read in an article that in the Harvard Business School, the definition of their priority in terms of their mission statement is that the academics, they are ranked number one, not the students, because their role is somewhat different. But in our case, the central unit is our students. So we have therefore to work very differently, addressing different constituents. The next C is who actually are our competitors? Because this is a world of cooperation. We compete and we collaborate. If you look at the value chain of Michael Porter, the barriers to entry have changed quite a lot. In some countries, they have almost disappeared through liberalization, like in Malaysia. Any foreign group can start a university here and even own it 100%. In some other countries, there are new regulations. So the world is in a flux. Who actually are our competitors? It's only one type of question. But to some of us, the more threatening one would be, who actually are the potential competitors? For example, for a long time, China was never involved in the education landscape. But the Chinese universities have become extremely sophisticated, and they're now even exporting the MBAs in bilingual way, dual degrees, joint degrees. Chinese universities, for example, Xiamen, they're establishing offshore campuses. Xiamen University is going to start an offshore campus here. So you have a new player, and the rise of China is indeed a threat and of course an opportunity, depending on how you look at it. But how do we respond in terms of our capabilities? When we look at a university as an example of the theory of the firm, what are the assets of a university? Do we really own the academics and the intellectuals? Because knowledge, feelings, behavior are all embodied in a human being, and they're totally mobile. So do we really own such human resources? When you look at the theory of the firm, whether it's as Kai Peters gave a brilliant lecture yesterday, in terms of the resource-based view, or the new ideas of Elrich, merging, converging strategy thinking with strategic human resource management, then the way we look at the innards of a university would be very different. The components of the value chain of a university, in the context of the external value chain, have already changed, mainly because of mobile technology, and new types of technology that can facilitate education on a large scale. So whether you call it MOOC, massive open online courses, or MOOC, massive open online teachers, we have to converge and create a new model. But what is this model? For some of us, is it a profit model as part of the value chain? Or can a university continue to function as before when the contest for funding and all this is so fierce. The governments now cannot supply enough research grants and the like. So what is the idea of a university now in the context of all these new stakeholders? And looking at the conditions in terms of the regulatory environment, the world again is full of uncertainty. Overnight, meaning about 30 years, every country in Asia says we are a regional hub for education. This morning I was very surprised to read that a member of, or rather a candidate for the election even suggests that her hometown should be or can be a regional hub for education. And that particular town is a very tiny town. So when you look at the aspirations of so many stakeholders, we are now wondering what is the new configuration for education. Lastly, if we are not very sure about the next 5 to 10 years, how do we plan forward when we are not very sure about uncertainty? This uncertainty demands an understanding of the future. This complexity requires us to have some clarity about what we do. And this volatility demands that we must have a clear vision. And I hope that we can get some wisdom from all of you today. For about 27 years, Help University has a very simple and humble vision: to provide appropriate, affordable education by making it available and accessible. That's our 4 A's. And we want to do it with some standards, the first S, to be able to scale it up, the second S, to sustain it, the third S, and to do it with some speed. Thank you so much.